Hello, everyone. I hope your day is starting off to be good. Another beautiful day to be us. I know I keep saying this like every Monday, but this week weather's completely different once again. I've been out here, what, 30 years out here in the desert, and I've never seen a year like this with weather. Here it is, almost the 1st of July. I think it might be 85 or 90 degrees out. Windy, beautiful, sunny. Man, it's just different this year. So I guess we need to be grateful for this kind of weather out here. It's If we're not grateful, then we're in a bad place. But there's a lot of people that got it much worse than us. They're in hotter weather than this, don't have water, don't have food. So even though we got a crazy virus going out throughout our country right now, think about the countries and places where not only do they have a virus, but they also got these other crises on their hand: no water, no food, unhealthy living conditions. I mean, we could be a lot worse. So then I got my own opinions about the virus. I mean, I believe the virus is real. Absolutely, the virus is real. But the pandemic is a ploy, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion, and I honor everybody else's opinion, whatever they have. So, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. Although maybe one day we could do that. But I want to talk more about healing, and um, it seems like everything that this crisis represents or is let me rephrase that. Everything this crisis is, it just represents nothing but negativity and evil at this point in time. I guess that's the easiest way to put it. So I'm really working on steering away from even having conversations about it anymore. I respect other people. I respect other people's lives. Oh, we'll leave it there. Okay. So we're going to continue on. This is the last chapter of the book, Healing the Wounded Child Within. And it's called Finding Your Authentic Self. Finding Your Authentic Self, chapter 13. We'll probably wrap it up next week. This has been a little bit longer. There's a lot of good information in here. It's the last chapter of the book, and it really boils down to everything else the book gets to and talks about as part of the healing. But then I think the hardest part of the healing journey for me and for everybody is finding who you really are. Because for myself, and I know a lot of other survivors that I have talked to, they've been who everybody else wants them to be. And that's quite honestly why a lot of people are miserable. They don't think they have any other choice but to be the way they are. Now, a lot of people, that's the way they are, and that's okay. I can't speak for everyone, but with survivors, this is a big bridge to cross. But once you cross it, you're going to be a lot happier. And I found this out firsthand after all the work I'd done in the first 5 years of my recovery. A lot of intensive therapy, a lot of work, soul searching, inner child work, everything. When I decided I didn't have to, my wife and I decided it was time to shut the doors of the business because of the economy, and we didn't want to take a chance losing everything. We were liquid. That next year was the hardest year of my life because I didn't realize how much I had my identity tied into that business, and it was quite evident once I let it go. But um, I was surrounded by really good people, and that's the key to any type of recovery is to surround yourself with good community. If we don't have community, then it's going to be really tough to make it in the recovery world because we need to surround ourselves with like-minded people, and that's what I did. And people that were going to build me up and help me through the hard times, not tell me to get over it, not tell me to grow up, not tell me come on, Oh, you can do better than that. None of that. They just walked with me, allowed me to feel what I felt, showed me a better way to live. So finding your authentic self can be a little bit of a difficult task, but well worth it. Especially after all the work you might have done to get to this point. It's really nothing. It's difficult, but by the time you get to this point, you've already done a lot of difficult work. So um, the deal of it is, I didn't even know that I had a choice to find my authentic self. I'd become a chameleon around whoever I wanted, whoever I was around. And so what happens is this, and this is a perfect example, continuing from last week on our discussion that was out of still in the authentic, finding your authentic self, and it's an excerpt by Dr. Alan Berger, and we're talking specifically, sorry about this, what goes wrong, right? What goes wrong. And so what happens is this, is that always trying to find a place in the world. We're trying to find a place in the world. We want to be accepted. We want to be acknowledged. We don't want to be judged. And in order to ensure the love and acceptance, what we do is we head out and we try to control our environment. In other words, we're with certain people. For myself, if I was with one group of people, then I would fall into what they were doing. I would fit into them. Because I didn't know who I was. If I was with people that I would go archery hunting with, then I would try to control that environment so that I was, I was the man. I was the best. It's a sad thing, but it's all I knew, because I was always trying to find myself and where am I going to fit into life, and because I was never taught growing up how to do that. What happens in the event that, not in the event, but by doing that, by trying to control our environment, right? We actually lose control of our lives by trying to take control. You have to really think about that, but we lose control of our lives by trying to take control. Because when we start trying to take control of stuff, things go south really quick. Again, with my wife, she was everything I wanted in a woman. When I met her, she's beautiful. She had a gorgeous body. She still does. Gorgeous body. She was blonde hair. She loved everything about me. She was quiet. She was spiritual, right? And I married her for those reasons. But then I tried taking control of her life and making her better in my eyes. And what it did is, when we do that, it'll start pushing people away from us because we're trying to take control. It just creates this giant mess, right? And actually, Karen Horney, the psychologist, she calls this the search for glory. The search for glory. What she means, we search for a way of being that will create security, make us feel that we belong, and ensure love and acceptance. So all we want is we want to belong, we want to be loved, and we need security, and we want acceptance. And so we're just searching for that constantly. And what happens is we become needy. As we try to take control, our neediness comes out. And essentially what we do is we start pushing people away. That solution for us it shapes our personality, it shapes our beliefs and our behavior. So when we start acting that way, for a long time, our parents, our brothers, our sisters, our aunts, our uncles, our grandparents, whoever it is, they were shaping who we were. We weren't given a chance to be who we wanted to be. We weren't, I hear it all the time. I don't want to play football. I've heard this from people. I don't want to play football. I'd rather play music. And Dad will go, music people are just a bunch of dope heads and they're losers. No, they're not. Musicians, the good musicians, are extremely talented. Number one, and more so than that, what I'm finding out, what I've learned is they are extremely intelligent and extremely committed to their job. They're not losers. Yes, a lot of football players smoke dope. A lot of football players take steroids. A lot of football players are addicted to alcohol, drugs, to sex, pornography. I mean, it doesn't matter where you go. Whether there's a lot of people sitting at the top of Wall Street that are addicted to all that stuff. But because dad or grandpa or mom or whoever thought we should be a football player, we quit pursuing our dream. We're the dreams of our grandparents and our parents. What happens is the problem that's created by our basic anxiety because of all this, right? It's an idealized image of who we should become, but not who we want to become. And I think that's the key. Everybody says who you should be, but not. You're not saying, well, I don't want to be that. I want to be this. What happens is then desperation creates the illusions, and illusions create more desperation. Desperation creates illusions. So we're desperate. We're trying to get this love, this acceptance, this commitment from other people. So we have these grandiose illusions of what we could be because we're so desperate to be that. And in doing that, we become extremely selfish. And every illusion just creates another form of desperation. This creates more desperation. So we got to be really careful and try not to get caught up in this trap. And that's why it's really important when you're doing this work and you're traveling this journey that you have a strong mentor, a grounded mentor. I want to say that's personally has walked through this. I want to say, and I got a lot of respect for therapists. I actually had a really, really good therapist. Deborah Mines Pearson was a phenomenal therapist for me. She saved my life. And there's a handful of those out there. But just in the last 2 weeks, I've had 3 or 4 people tell me about their experiences that were disastrous with therapists. Now, part of that could be because they weren't being honest with the therapist, but a good therapist, it doesn't matter. So that's what frustrates me is because then I'm trying to get to them and last time I went to therapist, it was miserable. I don't want to talk to you. So then I got to explain that I do things differently. I come from a coaching perspective, not so much a therapist perspective. Although I got all the same tools that they use, I just use them differently because I can't. You need to have a good therapist, a good mentor, a good coach, right? Somebody like that, and preferably like me. I've walked the walk. I've been in the fire, and I've walked out of the fire, and that's actually what a person needs, in my honest, humble opinion. So what happens is this idealized self that we're creating inside of us, we believe that it's going to give us the inner security that we need. But it's not our true self. And I've been there, and we think it's our true self. Oh, this is my true self. That didn't work, so I'll go over here. This is my true self. It's a deep knowing within you that you'll know is your true self. It's the idealized self. It's a false self or fabricated self. which means that you will never attain inner security. You'll never attain inner security. I honestly, in talking to you today, I honestly got to say that I believe my wife, she has been, always has been, and is her true, authentic self. There was a period she wasn't. I said, oh, it was just a minute ago. There was a period when she wasn't, and that's when things kind of went south for us, and she was out there, I was partying, she was with me. That wasn't Kathy. That wasn't my wife. She was doing that because of codependency. She was doing it because she thought I would get mad if she didn't do it. But where she's at right now is her true self. And she's had to do a lot of work as well. Our emotional well-being, okay, is going to be dependent on how well our false self is accepted or performs. Our emotional well-being is going to be dependent on how well our false self, the self that I present to everybody else because I think that's what you want me to be, and how I perform in that environment. And believe me, that's not a good place to be. Because as long as everything was okay, the emotional well-being was good. But then something would happen and I would crash. And it wasn't fun. Well, in order for that false self to crystallize, the idealized self to crystallize into the false self, we had to shape our personality accordingly. So we can't just have this feeling of self without having a personality that goes with it. And that, where we get that from, is that's accomplished through our pride system. Because our pride rewards and punishes us to ensure that we develop according to its idealized specifications or laws. So as long as we're performing like we're supposed to, we'll be getting a positive reward. But if things go south and we feel like we're not acting accordingly, then we become punished. And when I say punished, I don't mean like somebody's punishing. It's usually a punishing within ourselves because we beat ourselves up. We feel good and proud of ourselves when we act, behave, think, or feel the way we believe we should. The reward. Okay? We despise ourselves or even hate ourselves when we don't. So again, just what I was just saying. As long as everything's going right, we fit in, we reward ourselves. But if things are going south, okay, that's when we start punishing ourselves. We despise ourselves. Sometimes, I even hated myself. So it's a vicious cycle. You got to remember that we're driven by the way our idealized image demands, and we dare not question its authority. How many times have you been asked to do something or go somewhere and you said no? Or your inner being was saying, no, I'm not doing it, I'm not going there. But you went ahead anyways, just so you didn't feel like you didn't fit in. Right? And generally what happens also is because we're taught growing up, we don't dare question authority. So even though, just because a person's in a place of authority doesn't mean that they're right all the time. We have to look out for what we know. We all have a moral compass, and I know I threw that moral compass right out the window. But the idealized specifications that we have within ourselves, they're absolutes. is this, right? And I would say they are shaped in many ways by our gender rules and our culture, and they're not negotiable. Perfectionism, because no matter what I did growing up, I was always wrong. And anything less than that was hell. It didn't matter what I did, I couldn't do it right. I mean, I told a story yesterday or over the weekend one to one of the couples we were mentoring when I was a kid. And parents, my mom and my stepfather went away to Hawaii for the weekend. I borrowed his truck and for the week to go to Mammoth, and so I figured, well, when they come home, I'll wash the truck, nice and clean. And he appreciated that. And then I cleaned the entire house. It was 2 stories, upstairs, downstairs. Washed all the downstairs windows, inside and out, and washed most of the upstairs windows on the inside, not the outside. So when my stepfather got home, they went in the house, and he walked around that entire house like a friggin' drill sergeant. And he gets to this big corner glass window in the kitchen, and the only thing he told me, he didn't say thank you, great job. There was a little tiny spot that I don't know how he found it. He says you missed a spot on the window. So it didn't matter what it was. He found the only thing that wasn't to his satisfaction, a tiny dot on a window. And he didn't say anything about the rest of the house being nice. See, too often as parents, we do the exact same thing. Bring home a report card with 4 A's and a D on it. 4 A's and an F. Let's just say an F. Let's get it there. What do we focus on? Most, not all, they focus on the F. Let's celebrate the 4 A's. See, our kids need to be celebrated. Celebrate the 4 A's. We'll work on the F and get it up to a D or C the next time. But that's why so many kids if they don't do everything just perfect, they feel worthless. And I know I did. So what happens is as we grow up, the rules of these people, the rules that I had of my idealized self, they were non-negotiable because they had to be perfect, and they're non-negotiable with ourselves and our own heads. Because if I was anything less than perfect, I got the crap beat out of me. I got told I was worthless and an idiot, and so on and so forth. And what this does, this whole process, it will create that pervasive black and white thinking. There's no gray. There's no room for error, which is garbage. That's perfect thinking. There's got to be room for gray. I mean, nothing's going to come to we make mistakes. So let's talk, first of all, let's admit the mistake instead of hiding from it. And let's work through it. I remember, in construction, things happen on jobs, and sometimes things happen, and some people will cover them up. And I can tell you this, that when you cover something up in construction, it's going to create a quagmire of problems down the line. Because you create it, you break a pipe, whatever, and then the next trade comes in and covers it up, not knowing it's broken, and then you've got 3 or 4 things stacked on top of this problem that could have been resolved when it first happened. And now, because the black and white thinking that I can't be wrong, right, is now it's going to cost, instead of maybe, just hypothetically throw some numbers out, instead of costing $500 to repair this broken pipe that happened, and you covered it up. Now it might cost $5,000 because of all the subs that come in on top of it. Hey, Lauren, because of all the subs that come in on top of it and work. Right? So black and white thinking is I would really encourage you to have gray in there. It's okay. I mean, we've got to allow for mistakes. That's how we learn. If we make a mistake and we beat ourselves up because we're so black and white thinking, we'll never get out of the hole. Laugh about it. Think about the mistake that as adults, kind of laugh it off in a serious way, but don't beat yourself up over it and move on. I would implore all parents to think of it this way. When you were a kid growing up, and I really want you to think about this. When you were a kid growing up, and let's just say that your parents, if some of you, I'm sure they did, your parents did that kind of stuff to you. They beat you up. You got 4 A's, but you got that 1 F. But they didn't say nothing about the A's. They just said something about that. Or maybe something else. How did that really make you feel? I want you to sit with yourself. Go back to that time that happened. I want you to sit with yourself. Excuse me. How did that really make you feel as a child? How did that really make you feel? And be real with yourself. Don't cover it up. Don't say, made me a better man. Come on, get real. Go back to when you were that kid. Is that how you want your children to feel? Is that what you want them to feel? That kind of pain, that kind of shame? There's so many different ways you can work with these kids and help them out. I guess I'm kind of passionate about the kids right now because I'm seeing some stuff with several people right now. It's upsetting me. So, it's okay because that's what I do. That's what God's called me to do. And I know I got God in me, but I can still be upset about these things. What we'll do is we'll just go around and we'll just say, well, I guess it's just the way it's supposed to be. No, this is who I'm supposed to be right here. This is life. This is life at its best, and that's not true. It's not life at its best. It's actually life at its best, at its worst. One more time, life at its worst. But it's not how life should be. And one thing that we do believe is that we have to live up to these idealized images that we have chosen as our path to emotional security. I wish I could. I wish you all could understand this, because I could. I do now. I see it. Bright as day. But these idealized images that we're supposed to live up to are impossible to live up to because they're not the image. It's not the self that I believe God wants us to be. It's hard enough to be ourselves and be okay with that, let alone wanting to be this idealized image that we have in our mind that's way, way above us. And I just say way above us because we're not these other people. It's like, my name is Randy, and I don't want any other name. All right? I do what I do because nobody else is doing it. Somebody else is already doing something else along. It's just we always want to mimic somebody, and we can be doing the same thing as somebody else, but have different approaches. I guess that's what I'm trying to say, because somebody else is already using that approach. Somebody else has already got an attitude that's, like a pissed off water buffalo. So We don't need no more of those in the world. And I was that pissed off water buffalo for a while. This is from Dr. Alan Berger. He says, I use the analogy to describe this process, and he's got a book called The 12 Smart Things to Do When the Booze and Drugs Are Gone. He says, have you ever seen a beautiful bonsai tree? A bonsai artist works patiently over many years to constrain what should be a full-size tree into a perfect miniature. She constantly prunes the tree, wraps wires around its branches to shape them, deprives it of water, and trims its roots to fit a tiny pot. Such a tree becomes perfect to look at. And yet, it's not its true self. It is a tree made to conform to a vision of miniature perfection. Wow. So that bonsai tree has been made, has been trimmed to conform to fit in a certain pot and to conform to a certain miniature tree that looks perfect, as though God created it that way. See, in a lot of things that we think that God created are man-made, such as our bonsais. You know, you look at a lot of people and look at them, man. They look so perfect and blah 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 blah. It's God is everything or God is nothing. I believe that, but these bonsais, you can't go out and find a bonsai growing in the wild. You can find it, but it's not the miniature part. It's a big old tree. So is it fair to do that to ourselves? Is that what you want people to see, is the false self? So that you can go home at night and just sit there and be miserable? I'm just saying. Because that bonsai, this is exactly what we've done to ourselves with all the shoulds. What do you mean by should, Randy? Well, I should look like this. I should fit into that group. I should act that way. I should talk this way. Should. The shoulds, they're all the wires that we wrap around ourselves to shape us into our idealized image. All the wires we wrap around ourselves to shape us into our ideal image. I should be this. And there goes that wire pulling on my arm. Ouch. I should do this. There goes that wire pulling on your bank account to buy something you should have gotten. You see? The shoulds can pull you into a quagmire of crap. That's what they'll do. They'll pull you right into a quagmire of crap over time. Well, that ain't true, Randy. Well, you know what? Maybe you are doing fine right now. And I honor that. I was doing fine for a long time too, until I wasn't doing fine. So what we're doing is we're selling out ourselves during this whole process. We lose ourselves in this process. We're so far away from who you might have wanted to be when you were a kid, and who maybe as a child or a young teenager you were on the right path and things happened that pulled you away from it. We reject our true self in favor of a fabricated false self. We reject our true self in favor of a fabricated false self. We abandon and alienate ourselves from who we really are. We become estranged from our true self at a very deep level. We become estranged from our true self at a very deep level. Our anxiety leads us to believe that we aren't good enough the way we are, and therefore we must become something we aren't. to be okay. It's always, what are other people thinking about me? I think the whole key to this is, what is he thinking about? What is she thinking about me? Okay. And then what do they think? What's my boss think about me? And I'm over here. I'm with them. What are they thinking about me? But while I'm over here trying to please them, I'm thinking about, what are they thinking about me? Because I'm over here with them. Just be. It's just be. There's no reason to be worrying about what everybody thinks. Why do we constantly worry about what people are thinking about us? Because we don't know who we are. And maybe we're just grabbing at something that somebody will pull and say, "Hey, wake up, wake up." That's what a group did for me when I was struggling with my identity, letting go of the business. Randy, we don't even know that part of you. They told me, we don't know that part of you. We know this Randy right here. It's probably the best thing anybody could have told me, because I thought I was Randy in Macon Construction, and everybody in the valley knew who I was. Or a lot of people knew who I was. I had a lot of people working for me, a lot of notoriety. I had a lot. But what other people saw wasn't that. They saw they saw this man with a passion, with love for other people. But going after those idealized images, we develop a life based on phony aspirations and compulsions. It's a tragedy, because what we're doing is we're rejecting ourselves for an ideal. Oh, man, I want to be that person right there. That'd be great. I think I said it before. It's like, I hear people all the time. Man, I want to be just like Randy. I want what Randy's got. I want to be just like Randy. You might want to rethink what you're asking, because in order to do that, number one, if you want what I got, you got to do what I do. And you also got to go through everything I went through in life. And I promise you, you do not want to do that. That's one thing you do not want to do. So be yourself. Be like, I want to be Jesus. No, I don't want to be Jesus. I don't want to be Jesus. I want to be crucified. I mean, I went through my own pain here. I want to be like Jesus. I want to be like Jesus. I want to be love. I want to be kindness. I want to be compassion, forgiveness. Be yourself and be the best self you can. Use your gifts that God gave you to help others and allow God to do the work through you. Sure, we can look at other people. There's a lot of people out there that are wiser than me and wiser than you. And we can definitely glean off of them. There's no doubt. I mean, I didn't get all this information myself. There's a lot of people over the last 15 years that I have gleaned off of. Yeah, I know what it's like to be abused. I know what it's like with everything I've talked through this entire book. I know what it's like to be the book. I also know what it's like to work through it. I know what it taught. I know what it's like to come to a place of recovery where your life is better than you could ever imagine. And that's hard. It was hard for me to believe when I used to hear that. So, what is all this doing to develop your personality, your true personality? Well, I want to say this real quick, and then we'll end. But you've got to use everything in your life as a lesson. And everybody every person that's passed by you, or been in your life, as a teacher. Don't be blind to it. Everybody that's been in your life, whether it's been for a minute, a day, 5 years, 10 years, a lot, whatever it is, they're teachers. Pay attention. Have an open mind. Be willing to learn from them. It might be learn what not to do so you can find somebody that can teach you how to do it. Use everything that's happened to you as a lesson. Believe me, that's what I've done. Nothing goes to waste. God don't waste a sin. Nothing goes to waste. Nothing. Yeah, okay, Randy, sure, whatever you say. Yeah, okay. And I understand you because I used to think the same thing. Because how could a God do this to me? If you'd have told me 15 years ago when I started this journey of recovery that I'd be doing this kind of stuff and that my mind would be shifted like this, I'd have told you you're high. It's hard going through life as an adult living in the past. And quite often, a lot of the adults don't even know they're living there. Like one pastor said to me one day, Randy, you can't keep taking people back into their past. And I says, excuse me. I go, here's the problem: is I don't take nobody back in their past. That's cruel. That's mean. That's unfair. People are living in their past. They just don't know it. They're caught up in that victim mode. They just don't know it. So I walk into their past with them, and we walk out together. So next week I think I'll probably wrap up the book next week. There's a lot more to this chapter. You can get my book, Healing the Wounded Child, um, on Amazon, so paperback, Kindle, Audible, as well as my book, 30-Day Devotional to Wholeness, and then my workbook that accompanies Healing the Wounded Child, 7-Day Challenge, all on Amazon. The devotional is a great devotional for couples to read together. It's got a scripture, a devotional, and then 3 contemplative questions. And everybody that's bought the book, couples and all, they've just raved about it. So, or the book and the, hey Lupita, the book and the devotional. So you can get those on Amazon. Also, do me a favor and just go check out. Oh, if you do purchase a book, go back, or you have purchased a book and read it. Would you do me a favor and go back to Amazon and just give me a big review on that, please? Good, bad, or indifferent. You'll see the reviews that are on there. So um, it's really, Healing the Wounded Child is really an eye opener. Whether you've been abused, whether you're a family member, or somebody that just concerned and curious, it'll explain everything to you. It's not one of those autobiographies that all I do is talk about how the perpetrator abused me every chapter. That's not what this book is about at all. For life coaching, visit my life coaching page, changeyourlifestorynow.com. My wife and I do lots of marriage counseling. We do a lot of couples work. I'm SIMBA certified. It's an assessment. It takes about a half hour of your time to do it. It really is 99.9% accurate. It's amazing how it helps people align with each other when on a marriage basis. So if you're in need for couples counseling, my wife and I do that. The life coaching / counseling is, I work with addiction, abuse, inner healing, spiritual, all that. We do all that. Basically, even with the marriage counseling, it covers all that. It's one big, it all ties together in some way. And a lot of people, when it comes to abuse, emotional abuse is abuse. And so, well, I was never abused, but then this happened. Well, you were abused, okay? Not everybody was sexually abused, but there's a lot of other abuses that happen. So appreciate that. If you check that website, if go check the website out, you'll see go to the packages, and you'll see the 3 different packages I have. We also just do 1-day type things as well. But if you're interested, just reach out on the contact form, and I'll get right back to you. Okay. Then you can visit the Courageous Healers Foundation website, courageoushealers.org, courageoushealers.org. We can't continue this on our own. We need help financially. We are working on developing workshops. We want to be able to hit more speaking places, travel to talk about this more, but we can't do it on our own. So if you go to that website, you can do a one-time donation, or you can set up a monthly contribution on there as well. It's just one click, just hit the donate here button. You can do everything right there. Whether it's $5, $10, $50, $500, $5,000, $50, whatever it is. We're very grateful and very appreciative of it. It all stays right here in the foundation. Kathy and I take none of the money. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization, so all your contributions are tax deductible, just so you know, okay? And if you do a $60 donation or more, I'll send you a signed copy of my book, Healing the Wounded Child Within, and a copy of my 30-day devotional to wholeness. You can join me every Friday morning from 9 to 12 on 100.1 Remnant Radio, 100.1 FM Remnant Radio. You can also listen on RadioRemnant.org. RadioRemnant.org. It's our website. You can go on there and listen to it as well. And there's also we also have an app for the radio show called Remanente. And you just kind of got to scroll through it. You hit one button, and it'll take you to English or Spanish, and you just click on the English or Spanish, whichever one you want to use, okay? And lastly, we have our workshop series on masking yourself. We had to postpone the Journey to You that was going to be done on June 13th due to the coronavirus. So we're looking at, it's fluid right now. We're looking at July, the end of July, the very first part of August to do this, providing we might even do a webinar type thing. We're looking at different options right now. But Journey to You will be the first one. It's going to be, it talks about how you became who you are. Then on September 12th is the presentation. The Secrets in Silence. September 12th, The Secrets in Silence, and December 5th is Forgiveness. You can go to the website, courageoushealers.org, hit workshops, and you can register right there online. You can pay and register everything in one shot right there. If in the event that we have to postpone or cancel the workshop for any reason, you will be notified, and you'll have the option of getting a full refund, or we'll just keep it in there until the workshop does happen, because they are going to happen. I've got to get them done. So that's that. And I think that's all there is. So I hope you all enjoying the series. Like I say, next week I'm going to finish it up. I believe finish the book up. So it's been a little over a year journey. I appreciate y'all following me. I couldn't do it without you. So remember, nobody tells you they love you today. Randy does. But more importantly, God does. Everybody be blessed and have a super good week. Bye-bye.